Hello, friends. Robert Bevan here, author of the Caverns Creatures series of comedy, fantasy novels, and short stories. With me is Sam West, and today we're talking about the feat Orcish Fury.
Rah. Orc Smash. Very classic. This is a half-orc prerequisite feat from Sam Coast Guide to Everything. It's for half-orcs. Who would have thought Orcish Fury would go on half-orcs, but not orcs? Orcs can't take this. You can play as an orc.
Well,
Hmm?
did Orc become a playable race after this was released, or
Nope.
not?
It came out in, I believe, Orc came out in Vol's Guide to Monsters. Like I'm 80% sure.
That's clearly an oversight.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, Orcish Fury is only for half-orcs. It says increase your strength or con by 1 to a max of 20. That's great if either of those you care about, and it's going from an odd to an even. You love that. That doesn't need that much more to make this worth taking. It then has 2 more lines of text. So it says whenever you hit with an attack made with a simple or martial weapon, you can roll one of the weapon's dice an additional time and add its extra damage to the weapon's damage type. Once you use this ability, you can't again until you finish a short or long rest. Oh, so it's a once per long rest D10
Or
D12?
short rest.
Yeah, sorry, once per short rest D10 or D12, which is not great.
No.
Now, here's the real reason why it is a half-orc only trait. Feat. It says immediately after you use your Relentless Endurance trait, you can use your reaction to make one weapon attack. And that might sound really good, because you're like, oh, if you can use your Relentless Endurance trait multiple times, you could get so many free bonus attacks as a reaction. Well, you don't really get to pick whenever you use your Relentless Endurance, because this is whenever you're reduced to 0 hit points but not killed outright. You can drop to 1 instead, and you can do that once per long rest. So
that's not where I want to be.
Yeah, me neither. But it's cute. I think it's cute that it has this text. I think if there was another ability that was more than a D8-ish of damage dice once per short rest, I'd be all for it. I really think this is like right on the edge of this isn't enough, but it's still giving you a +1 strength, which is like, if you got a 17, now you're at an 18, and then you're like, I get +1 on all my hits and damage and a little menial amount of extra damage per long rest. Like, huh?
What other feats are giving you +1 long +1 strength?
I think all of the bludgeoning or crusher, piercer, slasher, and I think all of those are better than this, which is not a great place to start.
No.
And that's like the floor. I think I can't honestly remember better ones off the top of my head, but I can also tell you that like half-orcs that are playing like barbarians and fighters and paladins and stuff really want Great Weapon Master. They really want Polearm Master. They really want a whole laundry list of other feats that are good. And this feat is not.
No.
So it isn't like not observant. What's the one that gives you a +1 in and then nothing else?
Keen mind.
Keen mind. This has at least 2 abilities. Like a reaction whenever you are about to die to get a free attack is not nothing. It being once per long rest is pretty bad, especially because it's entirely out of your control. And the other thing you get on it is just
that one's not once per long rest, is it?
So your Relentless Endurance is once per long rest.
Where
so
does it at?
By huh?
Oh, oh, really?
Yeah. Relentless Endurance is once per long rest. If you would drop to 0, you drop to 1 instead.
Okay, no thank you.
Which I'd like it to be known, boars have a better deal than that. Boars get Relentless, and I think Relentless recharge is faster. I could be wrong.
Wait, who gets Relentless?
Boars? The pig?
Oink, oink. All right.
The CR1/4 beast. It recharges after a short rest. Boars get a better. What does that ever matter? Half-orcs aren't great. You take them sometimes whenever you're going to do crit fishing stuff because they have savage attacks, which gives you an extra weapon die on crit. So, like, if you're doing the champion fighter thing and you want to be like the most crittiest, slightly more dice on average than everyone else, you can do that. Maybe you're like a Hexblade half-orc for the, you make your crits on a 19 with the Hexblade's curse. Then you're like, haha, I do slightly more damage with this. Neat. But that's still not a justification for taking this feat. Like, I don't think the half-orcs are particularly good. And I don't think Orcish Fury is a good reason to play half-orcs. So, like, no, I don't want this.
Here's what you're getting. At best, you're getting like the once per long rest Relentless Endurance thing where you get to make one extra swing. So that's one single attack per long rest, and one extra damage die per long or short rest. Best case
At best, a
scenario.
D12. If you're using a greatsword, it's a D6. That's a fun fact. And people, half orcs love using greatswords and mauls.
But
So
even if it's a grade 12, D12, no, thank you.
you get, but Bob, imagine the scenario where you crit, and whenever you crit, you would normally do 2d12, but now you can do 4d12 because you would get the bonus die from Orcish Fury and you get the bonus die from Savage Attacker.
Yeah, that's not enough for me.
No, it's certainly not enough for me either. Yeah, I would have loved to see this give them more uses of Relentless Endurance. I would have loved them to like see this be a feat that just like you just don't go down, you just keep taking hits. I think that'd be sweet. Let it scale with your con mod or something. Let it scale with your proficiency bonus. Even I'd be fine with. I would have loved to see this, you know, actually give you a consistent new way to like break things, to like hit hard, to do what the orc is supposed to do. And instead, it is.
I mean, when I read
usable
this,
orcs.
I read the second entry here. When you hit with an attack, yada yada yada, you deal your damage dice and roll one of the damage dice. An additional time added as extra damage, and I was thinking, oh, maybe. And then I read long or short rest. What? No.
And it's dead to you. Yeah, there's
I
no
was-
reason to
I
consider
was
this.
like kind of on the fence before I read that line. I wasn't
And, like,
excited.
It was just like a okay, sure. I mean, if you just got a flat D6 to all of your weapon damage attacks, it'd be a good, interesting feat, I think. It would be a multi-attacker feat. It would be something that would work with the crit builds that half-orcs already want to be doing. It'd be pretty solid. It'd be like just a passive hex, and I'm down with that. I think that's the power of feat kind of has to be if it's going to compete with some of the other utterly busted nonsense that's been in this game since its inception. Unfortunately, instead, we get not nearly enough to justify taking a feat ever. Yeah. I love the design space too, right? Because they're integrating the racial traits in empowering them in new, interesting, fun ways, which is I think a good direction for race-based feats to go. I also think that'd be a great direction, like making more diverse builds, right? So like if you want to be like have a polearm master that looks different when they're an orc versus whenever they're an elf, right? I would love to see feats that could sort of, or even features that could make these more distinct areas and builds exist, as opposed to having everyone takes the exact same 4 feats in this exact same class pattern and there's
exactly.
no differences.
Or like tempt me to be a half orc.
Yes, it does not.
This doesn't do it.
No, it's pretty bad. Is it unusable?
Sometimes it's usable once per long rest or once per short rest.
This is one of the hardest ones I've had to like rate between a 1 and a 2, just because like, I mean, an extra attack is good. Is an extra attack once per long rest that you don't get to control still good? Probably not. And is adding once per short rest? If you get this once per long rest,
then you are not playing well.
There are a lot of tables. I run games like this where you are expected to go down most fights. So like if you were to play this at my tables, you very likely are going to be in the kind of encounters where you are expected to be right on that line of winning and losing, and it's all going to come down to some good management of a healing spell or two, some well-placed big explosive damage effects, and potentially Orcish Fury giving you that big extra spicy moment of the pivotal. That's where it's like there's supposed to be a really high with this, and I could see there being really sweet moments where you're the half orc. You're standing just surrounded by blood and guts and gore from the huge battle that just went down. And you got your cleric that's out of spell slots in the back corner, and you've got your unconscious fighter 8 feet to your right, and you're holding your greatsword, and you're a barbarian, and you look up at the 6 HP dragon that tries to drop you, and you just take it on the chin, swing that axe back around, and chop its head off. Like, that's an awesome fantasy, right? That is really walking the line of balance.
Yeah.
Like, that is a really hard encounter to have happen. If it does happen, though, it's pretty friggin' sweet. It's still definitely no reason to take this feat, though.
Yeah, I'll be impressed if you manage to walk that line with every encounter you run.
It's definitely not in every encounter you run, but you will. I will say it's more likely that you go to 0 if you're intending to take a lot of damage in again, a pretty big, like if you're doing the set piece of an adventure, if you're doing that big battle, which is like a once per level thing, this definitely will get used. And a lot of tables run a level per long rest. So like it's just the full dungeon, then you level, then a full dungeon, then you level, and then it'll be usable in those windows. It's still not good. That's still not enough, especially because you can't control when it happens. If you get hit by like a loose arrow and it goes down, oops, that sucks. Because you use your relentless endurance and there's nothing nearby to hit. Oh, sucks to be you.
Yeah, and as you level up, that's going to be more and more likely. You get hit with spells or an arrow or whatever.
Or even like the relative difference in your attack rolls as you get higher into the game. Making more attack rolls is what keeps martial characters up, right? Is making 3 then 4 attack rolls on fighters or rangers and stuff. You making 1 is going to feel really, really solid at 3rd level, at 4th level. You making 1 at 18th level is going to be like, yeah, it's not enough anymore. It's maybe you hit it with a great weapon master. It's still not that great. I'm doing it. I'm giving it a 1. I think this is... It's certainly not a reason to play half-orcs, and you do need a good reason to play half-orcs. And like fantasy and like aesthetic is a great reason to play half-orc. But beyond that, if you wanted a mechanical reason, the reason you do half-orcs currently is savage attacks, and this doesn't go on savage attack builds in that meaningful of a way. So I think you probably don't ever want to put this on your sheet.
Yeah, I also am giving it a 1. I think being marginally better than Keen Mind doesn't bring it to a 2.
I think you're right. There's a good amount of space between 2s and Keen Mind.
Also, just like this is going on a fighter or barbarian most likely, and man, fighters there's some that do okay, but man, the more I read about barbarians, the more of like a rough time they get, and I need
people
something.
love them to death, and
I love them.
It's just they're so bad. They're so bad.
Give me something, wizards.
They don't.
This isn't it.
No, certainly not.
All right.
Also, call it half Orcish Fury. You're lying to your users. Wizards of the Coast.
Well, I was thinking about that when you said it. Maybe orcs are comfortable in their skin, but the half orcs, they got this. The other half, there's conflict within them.
Iconically, orcs are known to be the less angry of the two when compared to their half friends, right? Like, yes, the orcs are not the hot-headed explodey ones. It's their children that are the issue.
They get picked on in school. It does damage, Sam. All right.
Yes.
Oh, Sam speaks from a position of privilege.
I was
Neither
not
of his
horrifically
parents
bullied.
are
It was
orcs.
great. Also that.
Yes. All right. Well, that was Orcish Fury. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And let us know what you think down in the comments. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching. If you found this helpful, informative, or entertaining, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button below. You needn't smash it. A gentle tap will suffice. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to the channel. And make sure you check out the links in the description, where you'll find my Caverns and Creatures series of comedy fantasy novels, Sam's full review of the spell, and other fun things.